Have you ever heard of those therapy programs where people are working with animals to bring some sort of healing? I used to be pretty skeptical of those sorts of things. But then about 5 years ago, I found myself working on this program.
In a hidden pocket of the Hunter Valley, a sanctuary for the men and women carrying the hidden wounds of war.
We would often be working with around 8 to 10 veterans, and one of the first activities we would do is get them into a yard with around 10 horses. And we would ask the participants to just walk around and pat the horses and just sort of see what happens. And amazingly, after about 40 minutes, each of the participants has created some sort of bond. On one of the programs I worked on, there was this particular veteran who had a really troubled past. He had an off-the-charts violent childhood. He joined the army and served in Iraq. From a behavioral point of view, this guy was a real challenge just to be even near. He was offensive. He seemed agitated and aggressive at times. In the meetup session, this guy partnered with a horse that was just like him. It was pushy, it was sometimes aggressive, didn't want to cooperate. For 3 days on the program, this horse and this veteran clashed until this happened. No movement, no words. Everyone, including the other veterans, were just stunned. And it was so profound that every other veteran there took a photo of what was happening, including this one that I'm showing you now. I get left speechless. I have trouble explaining what happened. Now, I don't want to get all equine psychotherapy on you because truth is, I don't fully understand it myself. But this was the day that I became a true believer in the healing power of animals. By now, you're probably thinking, why are you telling me stories about horses and veterans? The reason is because I want to emphasize the importance of storytelling in student learning. Why is it that we watch our favorite movies over and over? It's because we love stories. We tell children's stories and we teach them through storytelling. And I think it's something we can tap into for adult learners as well. There's a heap of research that shows that storytelling activates the brain and releases chemicals far more than just receiving information alone. And that's because we're tapping into people's images and emotions when we're telling a story, and that's incredibly powerful. We're far more likely to understand, remember, and use information if it's attached to a story. If I had to explain the definition of a mental health psychosis to students and I could attach it to a story where I actually had to deal with someone who was psychotic, the students are more likely to be able to grab that definition and then pin it to a real life case. Okay, let's look at some tips around storytelling. My first one is keep them short. A good story is a short story. You only want to use a story if it's relevant to that topic or to prove a certain point or to help the students learn. The other thing is not to overuse storytelling. You never want your students to think, oh gosh, here he goes again telling another one of his stories. If you can use a visual in your storytelling, like a picture or a YouTube clip that's going to help evoke that emotion in your students, your stories are going to be much more powerful. A good story doesn't have to be this dramatic, life-changing event. It can be something quite simple. But if you can include some sort of realization or transformation that you had as a person in the story, they're going to land better. Hopefully you can see the value of storytelling in student learning. We've covered a heap of content again, so it's time for the so what factor. What's going to be different about you the next time you jump into a virtual classroom? Is there something from today that you can experiment with or implement that's going to make you different and more engaging with your students? Right, that's it from me. If you want more videos like this, click the like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you next week.